Hey there, Supered Squad. Another great surge, this time with Geekly Media's Erin Kasmerick. She shared why Supered is her favorite integration with HubSpot. It might possibly be those 32 hours of work before Supered for just one automation client that she can do almost instantly now. She also shared that Supered is required. You're not getting them unless you're getting Supered too. Pretty great way to ensure adoption if you ask me. Besides being able to just deploy training right on the screen where people are, it's been a game changer, especially when it comes to retaining clients. She shared how Supered helps empower their clients using HubSpot all together right where they're working. We also talked to Matt. He shared some amazing product updates like mirrored content, which gives you control over your IP and whether that update gets pushed to your client's portal or not. He shared a little bit about white label partners and how you're getting custom icons so that you can have your brand in front of your customers. And he also shared the solutions library, which is basically your access to all of the knowledge that you need to be able to get started super quick and get running with whatever you need to be put right in your portal, just like you do for your clients. Let's check it out together. So welcome to the Surge, everybody. We've got Erin Kasmerick from Geekly Media. She's going to be sharing how they sell through with Supered and all of those amazing details so that we're getting adoption. We're making sure enforcement's there. Erin, welcome. Please tell everybody a little bit about you and what you're going to share with us.
So, my name is Erin Kasmerick. I am a self-taught OCD giant HubSpot nerd, so to speak. I've been using HubSpot for probably about the last 8 or so years, I would say. So I kind of began my HubSpot journey while I was working part-time after I had my first daughter. He's a business coach, and he utilized HubSpot for his website and, mostly the marketing side of the business. Eventually I went on and I opened my own LLC and began my freelancing journey with HubSpot and was able to acquire a fairly decent amount of clients. RentBridge was one of those. I think I saw a post from Heather, who is the owner of the company, out there on Facebook, and they needed some help building out a insane amount of HubSpot workflows. So eventually I wanted something a little bit more sustainable, didn't want to go out and chase business, and didn't want to have employees essentially. So I decided to join RentBridge full time. I think that was a little over 4.5 years ago. So since then, kind of been working really, really closely with configuration clients and whatnot. So that's a little bit about me. I'm going to jump into my presentation. Oh, 5 years in April. 5 years.
5 years in April. How did you find out about Supered?
How did I find out about Supered? I can't remember. I think it was on social media.
It was,
That's right.
Archie shared it with me, and then I shared it with you, and then we started seeing it everywhere.
Yep.
Okay.
The rest is history, so to speak. So I'll go ahead and jump into the presentation.
Very exciting.
Yeah. And ever since then, I mean, Heather and I went to Inbound last year. And so we were one of the 10K challenge participants. So I'm hoping for a little redemption here today. But I met the Supered team. They are all just absolutely wonderful humans. And I think, kind of formed some friendships with the majority of them. So definitely Supered is one of my favorite integrations with HubSpot. So a little bit about Geekly Media and kind of how we came to be. So Heather and Michael started this company. Heather, forgive me, I think it was 2015. Is that right? Sorry?
2016.
2016. And so we were formerly known as RentBridge. Heather and Michael started this company to really serve the property management and the real estate industry. So they were property managers themselves, and they knew that there had to be a way to streamline the typical property management processes that most property management companies work through. That is where PMOS was actually born. So PMOS stands for Property Management Operating System. And what we actually do for the most part is we have a data bridge that feeds information into HubSpot with regards to expiration dates, current rent amount, collections amounts, etc. So What we've done is we've automated the majority of the property management processes. So sales, collections and evictions, renewals, expirations, move outs, leasing. So these are just some of the deal pipelines that we regularly create here for clients. Those also spin off ticketing processes. And so you'll see those listed out here. So inspections for move outs and make readies, showing security deposit dispositions are some of those bigger ones. So we create as much automation and process for single family residential property management companies to grow and scale their businesses while using HubSpot marketing and process automation. We have, our niche, I would say, is probably more focused on property managers, but we have obviously outgrown that, and we are now servicing other industries such as roofing. I know we've done some work for financial companies and things like that. So we've definitely taken this and kind of grew it from just property management. So some of the integrations that we use, obviously Supered, PandaDoc, Sales Message, Easy Texting, CallRail, AirCall. Again, that custom bridge that we use to port information in from AppFolio, Propertyware, and Buildium. Those are typical property management platforms. So we wanted to focus on one platform, and that is HubSpot. HubSpot has lots of ways that you can integrate other platforms with it, because we want those companies to stay in one platform so that they can work one process kind of all the way through. So the way that we kind of go through this, I'm going to skip that. The way that we go through this is we start with our blueprints. So blueprints, we have like a standard base blueprint for 5 basic pipelines. What you're looking at is for expirations and renewals. So the majority of these processes are pretty much the same across all property management industries or across all property management companies. And so we give clients kind of a starting point because they're really not sure how to automate. And so some of that is training them on what HubSpot can do and why we use it the way we use it. So we give them this blueprint, we walk them through it, and we start asking them questions about their specific process. So this one would be expirations and renewals. So how does their process maybe vary or differ from this blueprint, and what changes do we need to make there? So we allow them to kind of customize this blueprint, but it gives them a really, really good starting point for their process. Before Supered, so one of the things that has immensely helped us is the ability to clone portals. We have a base clone portal that contains those blueprints. So there's contact-based workflows, ticket-based workflows, deal-based workflows, emails, dashboards, and reports. So we've been able to really seamlessly clone that clone portal and have that as our starting point. So half of the work is already done up front. We did have a VA that would actually go in and create some of the pipeline, or I'm sorry, the automations that actually couldn't be cloned. And that took her about 32 hours, and that was manual work. So in bringing Supered on, we no longer need her to do that because Supered brings in everything that we need to start off with a new automation client. Supered has definitely increased our HubSpot adoption with their cards and their process rules. So for a lot of our pipelines, certain fields need to be filled in. You have to make sure you have certain associations on your deal. And so to be able to have those warnings, if there is an issue, with maybe the bridge misfired or the information wasn't in the bridge and it's missing in the deal record, it gives these people an opportunity to say, oh my gosh, this is missing, because they have that big warning that pops up from the process rules. The increased process adoption. So a lot of these, a lot of our clients are first-time HubSpot users. And HubSpot has grown so much since I started using it about 8 years ago. And so it's some people are just, it's a shock. And so what we found is that people, I think, got really kind of confused and very discombobulated, so to speak, because they didn't know if I complete this property, or if I complete this task, does it move by itself, or do I have to manually move this deal? And so that's kind of taken away that guesswork. So now they know right where they are, where they're working, what needs to be completed. Is that deal going to move by itself? What properties do you need to have in that deal before you can move it forward in the process? We typically use a lot of process automation, obviously, to send emails. And so a lot of those are using tokens. So if you're missing a property, it's not going to be fed into the email, and then you're sending emails that don't have information in them. We've also found decreased user error with pipelines because those warnings are there and they're working in that deal record, and they can click on the card and they can see the process rules. No more leaving the screen. So I have a knowledge base article up. So this is how we were doing it before. We document all of our pipeline automations. So it's really used as a training tool and just for, our clients' knowledge. So nobody wants to go and read through a long knowledge base article. So they no longer have to do that because the information that they need is right where they're doing their job, right? So it's also increased the value that we bring to our clients. I mean, clients now see the amount of work that goes into customizing their pipelines and having their processes streamlined, and the same process is followed every single time. It's allowed us to easily clone those workflows. Like I said, dashboards, all of that dashboard creation for us used to be manual, and we have set base reports for each pipeline that we put into client portals. So now we don't have to have a person go in and actually create all those reports. It is a pain. They might have to adjust some filters. And so that's been huge. The other thing is it serves for a place for awesome automation. So when I build something or somebody on our team builds something and I'm like, I might want to use that again, I use Supered to go and pull it out of the portal and put it into Supered, so that if there is a client that has that same automation need, I can say, hey, I've built that before, and plop that right into their HubSpot portal. So it's pretty cool.
You shared a lot of information there, and it is all very good. I want to pull a couple of highlights out for anyone who is just thinking, okay, how you've done all of this, how can I do it too? Something that I was a solutions partner before Supered, and I would constantly see people say, well, doesn't it just do it out of the box? And you hit on a couple pieces of, well, it doesn't. And how do you show people that it doesn't do it out of the box? And you're now showing that by overlaying Supered on top of that and giving them that direction. So that is a really good point. I know you're going to show us.
Yes.
What's the goods?
Yeah. So I've been implementing a pipeline collections for a client, and they are brand new to HubSpot, brand new to process automation. Since we've implemented Supered, they've been able to collect unpaid fees, unpaid rent that they have that some of these tenants didn't even know they had. So they rarely have any questions. So it's also helped give our team time back because the questions kind of stop because of Supered. So you're able to actually answer questions just by having those little Supered cards inside of their HubSpot portal. So it's pretty awesome.
Matt's got a question for you. Go
Hi,
ahead,
Matt.
Matt.
What up, everybody? Question, Erin. Maybe it was Heather that said it to me as well. Is do you have any examples of? I think this is something y'all shared at the 10Ks. Has it helped you save any clients?
Yes, sir.
Example. So, like, what's the story there, and how and what portions of this, and why did it help save?
Yeah, so we had a client that that gave their notice to not only our company, but also to HubSpot. It was just too much for them. They didn't understand it. We implemented Supered for them, and they actually wanted additional services from us after that happened. So it's definitely helped save. It takes the guesswork out of the processes that we're building for people. And so that brings me to a really good point, is how we sell Supered. So moving forward, for any client that signs on for PMOS or property management operating system, Supered is required. It's not something that they can say, no, I don't want. You're getting Supered, because we found that it actually helps drive that process adoption and that HubSpot platform adoption. And then they can truly see the beauty that is HubSpot, and then their minds start going and they're like, oh, well, I could automate this process now. So I think that's one of the big points for us in just utilizing Supered and seeing the value that it brings to our clients is you get Supered, end of story. Like, you just get it because it's going to help you. It's going to help if you have any employee turnover, if you have new employees starting. they don't really have to do much. They don't have to go and read an article. They can start working right inside of HubSpot.
Eat your peas because they're good for you.
They're good for you. It's good for you. I actually had a client recently who just signed on for 15 Supered seats. He was a tough sell, only in the fact that he doesn't like Chrome. But he saw the value. I showed him, we started kind of using Supered as deal tags. So anybody that knows and uses deal tags, you're limited to 10. You get 10 total. And we have 5 pipelines. So for us, 10 isn't enough. And I know a lot of, our clients like seeing things right on the deal cards. And with that limitation, you can't do more than 10. And then you have to start, using properties to show on the cards, but it's not really as in your face as what you'd
Can
like
you show
to
this
see.
to us?
Yeah. So I will show you the renewals pipeline that we have. So this is our demo portal. This is basically what we walk clients through for PMOS. You can see we have our little icons up here. This has been huge in and of itself. So being able to access the stage automation, what's happening in that deal has been huge. I make sure, when I'm building this out, how are these deals created? How are they moved out of this stage? So this is a deal tag from HubSpot. This is a Supered cart. You're able to provide a lot more information via a Supered process rule than you are a deal tag in HubSpot. And this is what sold the client that just closed on 15 Supered seats, was the ability to have a Supered cart in here. And there's our friend Kyle Jepson. So this is what sold him on it. He's like, oh my gosh, I didn't know it was kind of like deal tags. And I'm like, yeah, deal tags. So this was definitely a selling point for that client.
And you're using, you are a white label partner and you
Yep.
call it Geeked instead of Supered?
Yes, we're having a hard time continuing to call it Geeked.
We try.
We try.
We
Or accidentally very often.
Yeah, we try to call it Geeked, but Supered just flows right out of my mouth because I'm so used to calling it Supered. So it's usually Supered.
Like Kleenex, right?
Yeah.
We need a Kleenex.
Yeah.
Totally understandable.
Colton
Also asks, how do you approach the conversation about selling Supered seats?
So we have a lot of existing clients. So we have a lot of existing clients that are post-implementation. And so honestly, I just come out and say, have you seen this? I don't really have a way that I sell it to existing clients. It's really just, this would really help you and your business, and it would help your employees understand what these processes are and then showing them. So having a demo portal, I think, kind of changed the game a little bit. So you don't actually have to go into a live client portal. So I pull up this demo portal and I start showing the value of what Supered can bring to the portal and HubSpot adoption. I think HubSpot adoption was a really big thing, to be quite honest, probably more so than process adoption, because people look at this and they're like, oh my God, what is this? What do I do here? And there's no more question. And so in the property management world, there's sometimes a high employee turnover, and having to go and train somebody and retrain somebody and have them read the knowledge base article, it was just too much. It didn't make sense. So they're getting that training right where they're doing their job. So it's usually not a tough sell, to be quite honest. It's I think it's helped a lot just with showing them that value.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because if you can show someone quick value, they're going to want to use it.
Yep. And then they want more of it. And then they're like, well, can you do this pipeline? So it kind of keeps going from there.
Can you show us some of that, what you're leaving behind? Like, how are you leaving yourself in their portal so that you don't have to continually retrain them?
Well, that's Supered. Supered is just in their portal, so they don't have to come to us. I had
Awesome.
a client that literally was reaching out after we implemented a pipeline. So our typical timeline is 6 weeks for each pipeline. The first 2 weeks are 1-hour calls each week, kind of diving into their process, diagramming that process out. And then we get 2 weeks to build it and test it. And then we have another 2 weeks, which is really the client starts testing it, and then any changes that they might have. So being able to kind of walk them through this process, just showing them the demo portal is just it's so amazing. So amazing.
Awesome.
One of the other things it does that I really like is, I had clients that would reach out to me and they're like, how do I attach a contact to a deal? Right. And so being able to deploy the training right inside of where they're doing their job is also amazing. So you guys probably know Max Cohen. This is the warning that they get if the deal is missing information. So I've also implemented it just on the side so that they know, okay, well, if I do anything to this property, what is it going to do? It says, do not manually update this property. So being able to put that stuff, because a lot of times you need to see these properties, but you don't do anything with them. Sometimes they're populated from the bridge. And so I put that information in these Supered cards for them so that they know where it's been populated from, what they actually have to do with it. If they do adjust it, what is it going to do to the process? Essentially, it's going to break the process, right? So this one here, this is actually one that they, not that one. This one here, they actually do have to edit at a certain point. And so this is telling them, if you set it to yes, guess what? It's going to move that deal. Because now the tenant has not approved their new rental rate in that renewals process. That's when this card appears on the deal record. It shows them what they have to do, and then it tells them, okay, if you move it to yes, it's going to move to tenant accepted. If you move it to no, it's going to move it to tenant not accepted. So game changer. Sometimes people are like, what is this field? I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
And so to be able to explain what these fields mean, I think also helps with the process adoption.
And when you're creating a property in HubSpot, you get like just a certain amount of characters where you can explain it. That's just not enough.
Not enough. I could super the entire portal. And so like, that's kind of where I've started going, because then there's zero question.
Automated.
So this is an example of, so typically our renewals deals need to have 2 contacts associated. One is a tenant, one is the property owner. So this is a process rule. And what I've done here is actually inserted a video on how to add the additional contact to the deal. You'd be surprised, people that are brand new to HubSpot don't know how to do this. And so this is where kind of that in-platform training happens when you have new employees start, or even an existing employee that's maybe working a new pipeline and they just don't understand it. So process rules have been game changer for us and our clients for the most part.
That's great. And when you're thinking about creating those rules, are you said you're spending some time upfront with the client mapping that out, but how do you map that out internally? Are you using Miro? Are you using, some other tool to actually create that path and that flow so that okay, when this happens, this is the process rule that's going to be triggered. This is the card that needs to be included, so that you're making sure all of those things and parts and pieces go in as a package to their portal.
Yeah. So for the most part, we start with that blueprint, which usually works for, the first 80% of that client's process. And then we work with them to develop the rest of it. And we have packages that I deploy that already have the existing process rules as well as those existing cards in them. So I have a really good start. And then if the client, as we're walking through their process, if the client has other requirements or they have another stage, my mind is always going, that would be a good process rule, just to make sure that that is being covered and doesn't halt their process in general. So I think it's partly, the packages and deploying those packages and making sure that we're covering all the other little adjustments that they might make to the process as well.
Okay. Matt, you've got a question for Erin?
I have several questions, Erin, and just as you come. I think you noted it here. I think it's Supered. Usually people can see Supered and understand how the standardization that you can create. And I think looking at something as holistic as this that Geekly has put together that's specific to an industry takes immense amount of industry expertise, and you're leveraging years and years and years of understanding to execute something like this. So it's very difficult to be like, this is awesome. My question is how has Supered been used not just for standardization, but for customization post-sale? So often you're going to have to, it's more like, how are you thinking through are you using Supered today to customize for unique needs based on your customer? And we've seen a lot of standardization, but are you doing customization? And if so, how are you thinking through that?
Yes. So we do custom builds for a lot of clients. So really, obviously the deal stage cards are pretty self-explanatory. I think it's really when you're thinking about process rules is what is required to make sure that this deal continues to move through that process. And if it's missing, is that going to halt the process? So we do a lot of custom builds. And so we do start with a knowledge base article. And for me personally, when I'm doing a build, I like writing the knowledge base article out and then building. Kind of a weird thing that I do.
But can you walk us through through that process?
How I build a knowledge base article?
Like how you're thinking about that customization and putting it in a portal utilizing Supered. So taking your article, breaking it down into the parts, and then showing us those pieces.
Yep. So if you look at like just a basic renewals, like just pretend this is a custom build, right? I don't include all of these details when I'm doing Supered cards, when I'm building out the cards or the process rules. What I find Supered is better for is, if the card is just as long as the article, it's a lot to read through and you don't want somebody just to sit there and have to read through it, right? So typically when I build it out, all the detail is here, and then I kind of take it and take little pieces of it. So I won't necessarily have, all of the things that they might have to do in a particular stage. They're going to be kind of slimmed down and trimmed down so that it's a little bit easier to digest. So that's kind of how I do it when I'm working through like a custom build as well. So writing that out knowledge base article and then taking those little pieces out and what's going to make that client most successful when they actually go to work through the process. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. So for example, so you've got your knowledge base article and then you take that and you're putting it into a card and you're putting that card and you're triggering that through a process rule. So can you just walk us through how you would do that so that anyone who's maybe new to Supered or just started using it can, I know it feels so basic to you, but it's one of those seeing it in action really gives it like substance and it shows the power of how it's built out.
So you just want me to walk through how to create a card and process rule and all that?
Sure. Let's do it.
All right. So I am big on folders. It's part of my OCD nature that I have. So what you're going to find when I build out anything, it's typically going to have, and I don't have it in my demo portal, but I actually number the stages in the order in which they are in the HubSpot portal. It just helps keep me aligned. And so the workflows have the same number on them. So I know which workflow and which card should be going in the stage essentially. So I typically will start out by, adding my new card in here. I follow a naming convention as well, just because I think it's easier to follow along. So for example, if you were doing like renewals, I start all of my cards with a renewals in brackets. And then obviously you do the stage. So, and then it's new renewal. I can't type new renewal. And then here, I like using GIFs. So if you guys are not currently putting GIFs inside of your cards and your process rules, I think clients get it makes them smile. So I like to add those in there wherever possible. If it's something that they are missing, I like to add in like a giant, warning, you're gonna break something if you don't do this, right? So I type out my card here. So this is my, my card rule. And then I go ahead and create that card. So for process rules, then I would go to processes here. You can see I have some in here already. So I love the cloning feature because a lot of times it's based on, if you have a renewals pipeline and the renewals pipeline is missing information. And then I'm like, okay, well now I'm executing the move out pipeline. So you can actually clone the process rules, which is a huge time saver, which I didn't know about, which Steve was like, Erin, you can clone. I'm like, oh, I didn't notice that. So that's been a game changer, just being able to clone these and easily, recreate them. So I would just go to, the three dots and then you clone that.
Here's where you would, Erin, new features are coming out every minute. So it's not that you didn't know, it's just, it probably snuck in and you just didn't notice.
And I didn't see it.
Yes.
So you would choose your HubSpot object, what type of rule it is. And if you are a Supered partner, go upvote, being able to change the color of these. I know Matt said that was probably coming, but that would be super awesome. Then you'd have to pick out your name and your display title. So if there's properties missing, if you have an association missing, and that is typically where you would put this. So you don't have to connect a card. I like the cards because I think it adds a little bit more to it, and you can explain it a lot better than just saying there's an error on this record. That doesn't really do the end user much help. So then you're able to select. I always do that. It doesn't like when I use a bracket, which is hard for me. Where did I put it? Okay, so I'm going to go back. I use brackets, and so it doesn't like the bracket when I search for it. So let's see, I'm going to pop in my card. On design, you can display the card in the page. So that's typically my option that I select. You can select your audience. So for the most part, we don't use, it's typically for all users. Because what we find is since PMOS was brought on, they don't need as much staff. And so sometimes you have staff that's managing more than one pipeline because of all the automation that's built. So we typically do it for all users, and then you would choose your logic. So this takes a little bit of getting used to for me. It's pretty much the same as HubSpot though, when you start thinking about it and just knowing where you have to put your groups and your filters and your associations. So this one there's not a matching property that is on that deal in this particular deal stage. So that's an association card that this rule is looking for. And that's kind of the process that I go through when I'm creating process rules. Does that answer your question, Deanna?
Yeah, no, that's great. And you mentioned something. It is a lot like HubSpot. I feel like when I'm looking at it, if I'm in the mindset of like workflow triggers and list creation, it's a lot easier for me to walk through that logic mentally.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And also, sometimes you just got to write it down. Sometimes you just got to write it down.
Yep. So really, I think the power that we've discovered with it is process enforcement, HubSpot platform adoption. Those are probably the two biggest things. Now, I know Journeys is coming. So I was working on deploying some kind of HubSpot training, in-platform training. But it was getting a little clunky. So typically what we do is we have 8 different sessions that we run clients through. These are all different areas of HubSpot, right? So these are the 8 sessions that we find make clients more successful just on HubSpot overall, because it's just really the basics. We're not talking about a specific process or a specific pipeline. It's really just general HubSpot functionality. And so I started creating some cards, and I was trying to figure out the best way to do it. So Blake gave me an idea, which I might be implementing, I might not. I don't know. Got to wait until Journeys come out. But I started adding cards just all over inside of HubSpot for each of those training sessions. So maybe after a training session, I could deploy a set of tasks that these people would actually have to go to a specific area in HubSpot and click the card to complete that task, just so that they can make sure that they have their users set up, their email is connected, their calendar is connected. User permissions, I think, is one of the biggest headaches. I have a client right now who their team just continues to add super admins because they just don't understand the HubSpot permissioning. It's too much, it's too granular, and rather than look through it, they're just going to make them a super admin. So I actually started adding in little cards. Here's where you'll be able to edit, create users, et cetera, et cetera. So if you were to go in here and create a user, I actually have it built in to
Look at that.
To be able to set up those, to be able to set up the different access levels. So this is the HubSpot knowledge base. I recorded a short video as well. So because it's overwhelming for a lot of clients. And personally, if somebody comes to me that works at one of our client companies and they say, can you give me access to marketing emails? My answer is no, I will not give you access. I don't know if you're trained. I don't know if you should have that access. So I really want to make sure that we're empowering our clients to do some of that work and to learn more about HubSpot and how they can adjust user permissions. And so what I'd love to see, using Journeys is kind of a shorter walkthrough of each of our training sessions so that they can go ahead and kind of revisit all of those different areas of the training that we've done live with them on a call. And we could even maybe have them do it beforehand so that the training calls can go from an hour to 30 minutes rather than, and take up more time. So I think there's lots of cool things that you can do with this. This is a little bit time consuming, but I think, for user setup, setting up your meeting link, people don't understand about tokens and, put that in the meeting subject line, so having something there that kind of guides them as they're creating them, because we assign homework, so to speak, after our training sessions. So I think their homework could now be, I'm going to deploy your tasks for you, and you're going to have to go through and kind of reiterate what you've learned on the training session.
You're really raising the bar on what your knowledge starts at, right? So instead of everybody coming in at like, I don't know what I'm doing, it's no, this is where we're starting, because now you have all of this available to you, and we can actually customize instead of just standardize. So I love that.
Yep.
I love it.
So that's where I want to go with it, because I think it'll take a lot off of the team as well, just for those little questions that you get about HubSpot functionality. We always give the spiel, HubSpot has thousands of help desk people. We're a smaller team. And so HubSpot, we try to direct them to HubSpot, but they like coming to us. So to be able to say, hey, here's a card, or go here, I put a card in your portal, you can walk through it yourself, I think would be awesome.
Absolutely. The power of multiplying your knowledge, for sure.
Yep, exactly.
I love it.
So here's I use this at Inbound too. There's Matt. That was our super demo time. So we tried to pull those in, but
A little less beard now.
yeah, a little less beard in this picture. So all in all, I'm very passionate not only about HubSpot, but also with Supered. I really think it's a game changer when it comes to retaining your clients, teaching them HubSpot, and also teaching them what you're building for them in HubSpot. And so for us, it's been a complete game changer, and I love it.
That's awesome. My favorite sentence. I love it.
I love it. I love it. I'm kind of a nerd. I love it.
That's okay. We love the nerds and the geeks.
That's what we are.
Oh, we've got a question. Do you install Supered for all your existing clients? You had said you did. Requirement.
Well, we don't for our existing clients. We are hoping to get the majority of the existing clients on the platform. So the one that we just sold yesterday, they're existing before we brought Supered on. Okay. So it's really, educating them on what Supered does and how it can make them more successful with their process automation that's built, and also HubSpot. Retain those clients.
Keep them nice and sticky so that their success is your success. And
exactly.
Love it. Does anyone else have any more questions for Erin? I know Matt has a couple fun nuggets to share with everyone. So do it, Matt.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, Erin, I have a question. No, I have a question.
Yeah. You're not done yet, Erin.
Yeah, have y'all, or question why is using updates? Have you thought about, or using updates to communicate when things have occurred? And if not, why? And if so, why?
So I will be honest, updates is not something that we've done a whole lot with. However, I do see it being a very valuable asset for existing clients. So when a new pipeline is rolled out, I think using an update to share that with the entire, HubSpot user base would be amazing. So, hey guys, this new process launched, check it out. This is what it does. This is how it's going to help us. So quite honestly, it just, we're focused more on the builds right now and the process adoption at this point. So I do show clients announcements when I'm trying to get them on the platform, and they're always like, oh my gosh, that's so cool, because they can do any kind of announcement that they want. Hey, there's a new employee started, or, hey, maybe even sending kudos out to the team. So I think there's a lot of different use cases for it. I just haven't been able to dig into them.
There's a lot to dig into. So
there's a lot.
Understandable.
Yeah.
Gotta eat the chunks in front of you.
Exactly.
For sure. Awesome. Erin, that was great. Thank you for sharing your love of Supered and HubSpot. I love it. I appreciate it. I will talk to you all day about it. So
I will talk to our clients all day about it. So yeah,
even
I hope
better.
to have many more sales in the future.
That's great. Awesome. All right, Matt, I know you've got some amazing product updates that you want to share, don't you?
Always. Yeah. Let me go through. Okay. So I thought, first is thank you for Erin, showcasing that. And that's a lot of hard work. And while Erin, that's a whole lot of work from a lot of team. And there's a lot that goes into building something that holistically specific to an industry. And it doesn't happen overnight. It happens over a lot of sweat and a lot of pain. So thank you for showing that, and thank you for doing it. I also, like, as we see this, is when you think about Supered, and I'll just state the mission so we're all is we our thought is the ability for companies. So specifically, one of our first customer, and then second, we have two customers, one's partner, one's end users, is the ability to create intellectual property, period. So like when you think about what's happening is I took years of experience, put it into a piece of software, and can deliver that at value at a much higher margin. And whether you use that for time or revenue, whatever that is, it's now a higher margin business. So that's what we're thinking about. So when you look at these product updates, I think it's important in that context, because that's where we're marching towards, and that's what we're thinking about all the time. Okay, so I'm going to go over what we've done and what we're thinking through. So I'm briefing in Supered. I put all these in Supered. We send updates to the team in Supered when things happen. Like, we're using this as well, so we can get good at it. So let me go through this. Number one, HubSpot IDs. So Matt, how do you know? Honestly, I didn't know this happened until the other day. How did I know it happened? I didn't even know we were doing it. I didn't even know it was an issue, to be quite honest. But then I got this video from our product team that said, easier HubSpot links. And I read it. And he tracked that, I completed it. What this is the ability to, and this is in some ways a preparation for, something we'll talk about in a second, but it's the ability, if you have triggered content and you want to trigger it in a specific location, you actually can't, because the URL has a what in it, a unique identifier that is HubSpot. What this allows you to do is have triggered content that also includes your customer's unique identifier that is HubSpot. So it will auto generate from the account that you're in. So I can now take triggers that have a specific page they're going towards, or an update that's only triggered on a specific URL that includes a HubSpot unique identifier. So this allows a robust amount of use cases. So you can go to specific content or certain views or specific deals or specific workflows that you couldn't do before. So it's pretty cool. You'll see the Super Duper update coming out in other places, but it actually is pretty profound in your ability to customize at scale, right? Especially as we get ready for what? LMS or / journeys and guides. Next, mirrored content. I didn't ask the question, Erin, so I just want to say this. What mirrored content? We've talked about this a bit. What this allows us to do, you've seen it, is you can now have content that is standardized that you can give to clients that is in a parent-child relationship. Meaning, if I have content and I want to give it to my client, and then I also wanted to give a client A, client B, client C, client D, and I want that standardized and I never want it changed because it's always going to be the same, you can now make that mirrored, and it will automatically update. If you update it in the parent, it will automatically update to every client you have it in. Now, what this unleashes, and I use the word unleashes here, is you can now sell content as part of packages that can be taken away based on subscription models. You now can sell intellectual property and taketh and giveth much easier and distribute much easier. So that will be built into our journeys, which will also be something as you think about how you're building. So you can now, at a greater rate, take an intellectual property and resell that at a higher margin business, and be able to give people, your clients, more sophisticated. The additional thing with mirrors is you can build on it over time. So like, it's not just one card. If I add 3 or 4 or 5, 6 cards, it continues. Erin, hand raise.
I was going to say that, I mean, it sounds like it would be perfect because, as everybody on this call knows, HubSpot is always changing stuff. Always. Like, I'll go into the portal and be like, this wasn't here before. Where did it go? So to be able to use mirrored content when it comes to just the general HubSpot training, and have, when they change something, you can now change in every single portal and you don't have to go in and just do it in one portal at a time.
Correct.
Awesome.
And then send an update that talks about the changes related to the card.
To HubSpot. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Totally.
Very high margin. Go to market. Okay. Next is white label. So this is specific white label partners. We now have this. It allows partners to use custom icons inside their managed teams. So what does this mean? This means if I have a white label, if you go into, save this, so I don't If I go into settings and I have a white label, you can do these things called custom trigger icons. So now, because of the way this is set up, is if I have, say I'm Geekly Media, and I have the big Geekly thing everywhere, and I'm calling it Geeked, and I want, instead of the info button, but I want it to be a G, and I want to put my icon or my branding in more locations. Now, if you have white label, it automatically puts these custom icons inside your partners, your clients' accounts. So if you have it in a package, or you want to customize something and you want to add a new pipeline, as Erin was saying, you now already have that custom icon there for you to choose from in any of your accounts. Pretty cool. I'll go back. My gosh, I didn't do this right. Now you're gonna have to see me.
For all us branding nerds, that's just a big deal.
Yeah, it's nice. Okay. Next is I'm gonna put custom UI, and so this is specific because we have people we have customers that are being served in French, they're being served in Japanese, they're being served in German, and because Supered works in any language. But one of the things they ask for is, because we're not localizing the entire UI. So like, hey Matt, can I be able to send something, a specific message that will go both in the app when they start or in the extension? So what you're allowed to do now is at this start, this here, if I go, I can now put custom messages. I can put custom information so that when they start, they actually have, here's how to use Geeked, right? So example, how to do that, you go to settings. After you go to settings, you then go to custom UI blocks, and this is just like a card. You can put rich text, videos. I'm just going to put this. You put it both in the extension. I push save, and now it's right there. So for different languages, it's very simple because now they say, here's how you use it. And it's not just a English speaking, but you can also say, welcome to Geeked as an example, and starting to help even more people reduce friction. Okay, going back. Dude, we'll see if I push this back button, if it will take me back to my last page. What do we say? Heck yeah. Okay. Solution library. Y'all seen this. And if you haven't seen it, you're about to see it again, is we put in what we're doing now. And you think as we go end users, and our intention is to help end users use and adopt HubSpot as well, that we can then give to partners that specialize in specific industries or functions, is we are doing real world use cases, and we're starting to have a library. This library will include multiple platforms along with use cases here. We are going to open this up for application for our white label partners to submit their own guides that they want to give. It will not have HubSpot resources, but only content. And you can either make that mirrored or not mirrored content that you can give. And so you will see an announcement for that. We're limiting it to a certain number. So it's going to be competitive as people put it. And as we begin to put these out. And you'll see we're having partnerships. Like we're going to have a type form. We're going to have a modern operations, the MOPS community. You'll start seeing these get put in. And this could be another lead gen vehicle, but also teaching people how to use Supered. So if you want to do a step-by-step getting guide on how to use Supered, submit that, and it may be better than the one that's here, and that is great. So whatever content you think would be helpful for the universe, you could put here, and giveth, and you shall receiveth. In my opinion, the more. And the next upcoming, it's crazy we don't do this, but now we do it. Is if you've ever, we're about to clone cards, and I think folders and packages. So we're just coming back around and making sure there's clones. If you're using it, I bet Erin has copied and pasted Control C, Control V a lot. Now you can just actually copy the cards and folder structures so that you can create things very quickly. And so they're often different collections. Sometimes you want a mirrored collection, sometimes you don't, and you need different ones. Yes, Erin.
When it comes to cloning cards, the value I see there is sometimes, when you're moving super fast and you're doing a build, for me personally, the way that you say something in one card and then you build another card and you're like, I didn't say it like that in the other card. So to be able to clone it, I think, and just stay consistent with the verbiage that you're using would be super, super important. That's why I want exporting of cards too.
Yes, received. There's a lot of calories being done in the next two. And then once these calories have been eaten, you will see the plethora of updates come out, just like you're used to. But like right now, so next is upcoming is where we're spending most of the calories are in two different things. We actually updated this. We're not just doing journeys anymore. We're actually doing a whole nother module. So we're doing more than what we said, but probably more value as well. So it's not just, and we don't know the official name of this one yet. I'm just going to call it walkthroughs. So as part of the journeys, which is really just a on platform, in-app, cross-platform LMS that can go anywhere, we're doing LMS. And so think of that as the orchestration layer. This is how you're assigning. You can then have multiple assignees. You're going to have a teacher and assignee relationship. You're going to have potential notifications coming out. To create journeys, you have to be able to, often you need the ability to create new cards directly from the extension instead of having to go into the extension. So there will be updates that come from us because we're thinking about the LMS use case. That will be net add to everyone in the general bucket. This also includes, as a version 2, not MVP, validations. So we will have the ability, if you've been in HubSpot Academy and you wanted to be, I wish someone would just test on how awesome I am. So think of process rules as more than, it's not just there's a lot of other reasons it's not a deal tag. Because of it's dynamic and fast, and you can put content, and there's all these other reasons. This is another. If you have a process rule and you want to include it in your LMS, you'll be able to attach it as a validation that someone it has actually occurred, and they will get a green or red flag. And so the intention is to make these and put these as validations. So if you make it's more than just serving content. It is teaching first. So you can have both the teaching of the process, the validation and knowing it has occurred, and then the enforcement of the process post-teaching. So you'll see how all these come together and why we've really been leading towards this journeys for a while. Walkthroughs are, you need walkthroughs in journeys. And so that's why we're pulling it out. We think it's independently valuable. The ability to take screens and be able to say, do this, then this, and have a walkthrough guide, almost much like Scribe How or the HubSpot guide, but just it's going to be organic and built in naturally into Supered. People are already doing this, but they're having to go to different places. We're just making it more holistic and organic. And so we're having that, and then you'll be able to use those guides inside of journeys. Okay, I'm going to stop there. I'm going to ask for questions, and I'll do a quick vision cast so you understand where we're going after for this, the rest in totality.
Anybody got any questions, or just a whole bunch of amazement at the wonderful things that are coming out soon? I know I'm excited. I, for one, before I even became a HubSpot team member, I wanted cloning cards. So I'm kind of excited that they're coming out, probably even more than Erin, I think.
I love it all. I think journeys and walkthroughs is complete game changer. It's going to be insane what we're going to be able to deploy into client portals.
Yeah,
it'll be insane. The ability, there's going to be the same. I want to put it's going to be the same. The ability for people to create intellectual property and deliver it at scale very quickly. It's what it does. And so you can focus on value very quickly versus okay. So vision cast is if you see this idea of journeys, I hate LMSs. I don't even want to call it LMS, but it's the only way people really organize. I never liked LMS because it takes me off platform. So this is an on platform LMS that allows you to not hate life and watch videos, which is what LMSs traditionally do. What we think about where we're going, and when you think like big picture, is as you're able to collect intellectual property, we then think about process enforcement more holistically. So there is this, the intention has always been process rules. You will see us build that out even more. So the ability to in-app be able to have a list of process rules, a list of violations of those process rules, have a management board where I can say, here's everyone that is not doing it, perhaps even the ability to send notification. So we're thinking about like you can do, and process rules are nothing more than what? List. And so you can auto create lists and put those into workflows. Now your process roles are actually creating lists that are workflows. So you're going to see a more holistic view of process roles and how they work. And you can really work from there. So the validate, they create lists, you can trigger workflows. So I just want to say big picture. Package builder. We will finish building out. So we have some like small things like permissions, playbooks, these like small things that we get asked all the time, are you going to do this for CMS? And the answer is maybe. It's not a question of can it occur, it's a question of priority. And so when you see, like, we're thinking about these big pictures, it's what is the thing we think will provide the most value for intellectual property at that time and be opportunity cost. So if you want something, you don't see it here, please upvote, please put it on the product, please say what you want. And so that we can, it does dictate and impact our behavior on what we're building. How do I do that? If you're a partner, you go partner, Supered portal, product ideas, and you'll see Erin's put a bajillion on the right side, and you just say what you want and you upvote. Okay, sweet. I'll ask, we have 1 minute. I'll have time for one question if someone has it. I'll stop there.
I'm just dropping secrets. I hear if you put your request in Super Jam and get your friends to upvote it, it gets done faster.
Yeah, hack. Actually submit it as a support ticket and pretend it's actually bothering you, and it goes directly to that individual. Hack, but don't use that too often, or he'll know you're hacking.
Sorry, Steve. Sorry, Steve.
Okay.
I love it. I appreciate Erin. Thank you a ton for sharing so much, Matt, on all of the amazing things that are coming up. I can't wait to see them and test them out and try them out and see how you're all going to implement them in your portals and for your customers and for your customers. So let's hear what you want to know, what you want to hear about, what you want to see, and we will make it happen. Love it.
I'll end with this last question. Steve, when do you think walkthroughs, guides, search Sherpas, whatever we're calling it, we're gonna be the first V1 that people have beta access to?
As soon as it's done.
Received. It's good. Okay.
Hopefully within the next like 2 to 3 weeks, maybe.
Okay. So the intention is February, and you'll if you want to be part of beta, if you already signed up, you'll get an email and you'll see that come out, so we get you all on it. Okay.
Love it. Thank you, guys. Thank you,
Thank
everyone,
you.
for joining us. I will send out some information on the next surge. We're off-site, so I will be skipping a week for us, but I will let you all know what that looks like. Yes.
I'm just going to put it in the future, so I want to make sure we're like starting to plan events and we have dates. So the next time we are meeting, I'm doing a full course on how to go to market as a partner, and it's going to be everything. It's not just Supered. It is going to be here's how here's how to manage supply and demand. Here's philosophically how I think about hiring here, and it all approached from the perspective that I'm a partner who could potentially use Supered, and why, and how you're thinking about the business structure. So there's going to be a full holistic, it'll be a series. It's called the Go-to-Market Bootcamp. I did this for RevOps, and I'm not going to do it for HubSpot partners specifically. So you'll see that coming out. That's going to come on the 28th is the first date. And then after that, we'll be doing how to use Surf and how we do surround bound as our go-to-market strategy. Will be coming there, and you'll just know that they're coming up, and invite y'all to them. You'll see them come out.
Absolutely. I will make sure you all get all of that information so you can put it on your calendars, and we will see you all there. Thanks, everybody. Have an awesome day.
Adios.
Bye. What a great event, Supered Squad. I am so excited to see how all of you put Supered into your sales process and make sure that you are getting the most out of the efforts with your clients. I will see you on March 7th for our next surge. Stay awesome. Stay Supered.